All right, going to talk about South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. Talk about 3 keys for success for Sellers against Virginia Tech this upcoming weekend, week 1, getting going. Before we talk about these 3 keys, I do want to compare Sellers to Kyron Drones. I want to talk about who has the advantage. I think it's pretty clear here, but let's talk about it because I think Drones is a much better quarterback than maybe people realize, especially if you're not super familiar with him. And then we'll talk about these 3 keys for Sellers and talk about what we think Sellers needs to do, what he needs to lean into for him and South Carolina to have success. And after that, I do want to talk about if I was the Virginia Tech defense, if I was game planning how to stop LaNorris Sellers, how to stop, one of the most highly touted quarterbacks entering 2025, what would I do? What would be the game plan for that, right? So I want to preview Sellers, but I want to talk about and compare him to Drones. Then I want to talk about these 3 keys for Sellers to have success against Va Tech. And then I want to talk about Va Tech's defense, what I would do if I was Va Tech's defense, trying to slow down LaNorris Sellers. So let's go ahead and get into it. And this is your first time tuning in. We're a big SEC quarterback hub. We talk all things SEC quarterback. So let's compare Sellers against Drones right off the bat. Sellers clearly has the edge here, right? Especially if you're comparing 2024 seasons between Drones and LaNorris Sellers. But I think Drones will look more like 2023 than 2024. I don't think Drones is nearly as bad of a quarterback as what his numbers say in 2023, as what his numbers say in 2024. I think he if you go back to that 2023 season, the season he kind of took over the starting quarterback, I think you saw the ability to hit on home runs. Still, Sellers is a much better quarterback heading into 2024. Right, and if we compare accuracy and efficiency, Sellers grades much, much higher. If we compare explosiveness, at least the ability to hit on deep plays passing, both have strong arms. Both can push it downfield at a good pace. But Sellers last year on balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield, his completion percentage was 50% compared to Drones was 32%. Both need to improve and take care of the football, especially if you're a South Carolina fan. I think that comes as no surprise. It wasn't so much the interceptions, but more so the lack of ball security in the pocket, holding on the ball too long for Sellers and having some strip sacks, some fumbles. Drones had that as well. Both quarterbacks are extremely, extremely athletic. Both can hurt you on the ground. Now, Drones didn't play the full season last year, had some injuries, and was, I think, playing through some stuff. But again, if he is 2023 version, he is just as good of an athlete as LaNorris Sellers. He's a freak athlete. And then when it comes to third down and kind of red zone conversion, big plays, converting in big situations, Sellers clearly has the edge on that, especially last year, just going off last year's numbers. If you look at Sellers' games against Mizzou, against A&M, against Clemson, those huge runs that he had against Clemson, he was able to score really well in those categories. So I think clearly give me LaNorris Sellers all day, especially if you've watched this channel before, we're big on Sellers. Give me Sellers all day. I think he has the clear advantage. But at the same time, I wouldn't sleep on Kyron Drones. I think he's a much better quarterback than given credit for just going off of 2024. I think he'll be a much better quarterback this year than last year. Again, I take Sellers all day, but I think Drones, if he's back to that 2023 version, can definitely hurt defenses. Okay, so let's go into 3 keys for LaNorris Sellers against Va Tech's defense before we talk about what I would do if I was Virginia Tech's defense. And if you're Sellers heading into this game, I want to lean into my strengths, my main strengths as a quarterback. And then if the defense takes that away from me, then I adapt and I trust my development to change on that. So key number 1, lean into your athleticism. You were 3rd in the SEC last year in rushing yards for a quarterback, not including sacks, 852 yards on the ground, not including sacks. So I want to lean into my athleticism. I want to challenge the defense, see if they can stop me on the ground, and also maybe some creative plays, unique plays to scheme open receivers, whether that's rolling out outside the pocket, whether it's play action, whatever it may be. But I want to lean into my athleticism. Something maybe you don't want to lean into is his yards after contact. He led the SEC of quarterbacks with 581 yards after contact. So you don't want your quarterback probably leading the team doing that. But at the same time, he can break tackles. He's tough if need to. On short yard situations, you're definitely leaning into this. Key number 2, continued success against the blitz. Now, we're going to get into Va Tech's defense here in a second, but continued success against the blitz. If you've watched this channel, we really highlighted Sellers' ability against the blitz. And I think that's largely because he developed throughout the season last year. Against the blitz, he had 11 passing touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Against the blitz, his yards per attempt were 10.1. Whenever defenses dropped 7 or 8, it was only 7.3, which isn't horrible by any means, but you could tell when the defenses were blitzing him, he felt more comfortable pushing the ball downfield. If you watched our film breakdowns before, you can see several examples of this. He was blitzed 36% of the time last year. So it remains to be seen if defenses are going to continue to try to blitz him or if they're going to kind of drop 7, drop 8, and force him to beat them in different ways, right? But I think continued success against the blitz is key number 2. Key number 3, last key here, accuracy on deep balls. I think this opens up the underneath throws, but like we talked about in the beginning of the video, one of the edges that he has over Vatek's quarterback is his accuracy on deep throws. Only DJ Lagway out of any SEC quarterback that qualified last year with at least 30 attempts where the ball was thrown 20 yards more downfield, only DJ Lagway was more accurate on those throws. Again, Sellers was 19 to 38 on balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield. So accuracy on deep throws, if he can hit on 1, 2 deep throws against Vatek, I think that maybe softens up Vatek's defense, and maybe that can lead to some underneath throws, again, depending what Vatek throws at him. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about a 4th key. That's take care of the football. That's probably the biggest step in his development. Take care of the football, get rid of the ball quicker than last year at times. You never want to force an athletic quarterback like Sellers to get rid of the football too early, because a lot of his big plays happen from holding on the ball, improvising. But still, take care of the football, get rid of the ball a bit quicker. If I have to have a 4th key, which I do, right? So 3 keys for Sellers: lean into your athleticism, lean into the ability to have success against the blitz, and then lean into and hopefully complete some deep balls that can help open underneath throws. And then, of course, take care of the football. So if I'm Vatek's defense, what am I going to do? What am I game planning? Not that any Vatek fan or the Vatek DC needs me to help. I'm some random guy on YouTube. But if I'm trying to defend LaNorris Sellers, if I know what his strengths are, if I know he can push the ball downfield, if I know he is an elite athlete, if I know he had a ton of success against the blitz, much more success, only 2 interceptions against the blitz compared to 5 interceptions when I dropped 7 or 8, well, I want to force him to beat me underneath. I'm dropping 7 or 8 guys the majority of the time, maybe having some disguised unique blitzes, maybe having a delayed blitz, but I'm dropping 7 or 8 guys the majority of the time and having a spy on LaNorris Sellers, right? And if he beats you, he beats you, right? But I'm dropping 7 or 8 guys. I'll let him have moderate gains. I'll give him some moderate gains, some intermediate type throws, underneath throws. I want to give that to him. I don't want him to beat me deep. He's a home run hitter. He can hit me with his legs and with a deep ball, so I don't want him to beat me deep. I want to make the field be smaller, especially in the red zone, and maybe live off some field goals, right? So that's key number 1 if I'm Vatek's defense, trying to force LaNorris Sellers to not have much success, right? I want to drop 7 or 8, prevent the big play. Also, Vatek, you were 5th in the ACC in sacks last year. So I just said you don't want to, bring a bunch of guys, but can you get pressure just with 3 or 4 guys? And if you can, knowing LaNorris Sellers was a bit careless with the ball in the pocket, can you strip sack? Can you have a strip sack against him? They're also 5th in the ACC in interceptions last year. Can you force an interception? Can you make him hold on the ball and get bored with it? Can you make him, can you drop 7 or 8 guys and force him to throw a deep ball that's not there and come away with a pick? That's another key of mine. The defense for Vatek was 5th in the ACC in yards per game given up in the passing game. Only 215 yards per game through the air they gave up. So they were a good defense last year. Now, I don't want to preview too much about the 2024 defense just for the simple fact things change, right? But they were still good against the pass last year. So the main keys, if I'm Vatek's defense, how can we slow down Sellers, drop 7 or 8, try to get pressure with 4 guys, with your D lineman, maybe a delayed blitz every once in a while, keeping a spy on him, and then see if he'll turn the ball over. See if he can be reckless at times to turn the ball over. So that's what I'm doing if I'm Vatek's defense. I'm trying to have LaNorris Sellers be forced into a ball or try to force a ball that's not there and drop 7 or 8. But if I'm Sellers, I want to lean into my keys. Be athletic like you are, right? Run the ball when needed to. Throw the ball on the run, right? Threaten the defense that way. Push the ball downfield to open up the underneath throws, and then have success against the blitz and take care of the football. Again, Sellers has the advantage here. And if you're just comparing quarterbacks, I think Sellers has the advantage here against the defense. But you still have to go out and do it. So those are my 3 keys for LaNorris Sellers to have success against Vatek's defense this upcoming weekend. So if you're a South Carolina fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. 1, what other keys are important for Sellers? What else do you want to see from Sellers against Vatek's defense? If you're a Vatek's defense, how would you play Sellers? What would you do? You've seen Sellers play every game last year besides the games that he missed. What would you do to stop Sellers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're an SEC fan or a South Carolina fan or a quarterback fan in general, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll be putting out QB previews like this video throughout the season. We'll have a recap and film breakdowns throughout the season. So follow us along for SEC QB content. Like the video, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps us grow. Thanks for following us along. We'll see you next time. Peace.